Today's AskReddit post. Who became ridiculously unpopular and never deserved it? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. The security guard that found the bomb at the Atlanta Olympics and then got blamed for it by the media. Richard Jewell is the most extreme case of this. It is a sad story and as unfair as any I have read. He was called a one-ape cop, destroyed in the press by overzealous feds with no proper leads. He was a hero who did everything right that day and saved lives. By the time the government came around and admitted their mistake, he was already broken. The trial for that asshole Eric Rudolph took place at the federal courthouse down the street from my office. Armed men on buildings had to pass a security zone for admittance. Thankfully, it didn't last long. Some tense days though. Steve Burns from Blue's Clues. So many rumors about him, including being a pedophile. But he quit the show because he was balding and didn't want kids to see him aging on TV. He popped up on TikTok during COVID and has received nothing but love by the masses on that app ever since. It's heartwarming. I saw a TikTok today of Steve giving a college graduation speech. Line D. Chamberlain Creighton Dingo *ACTUALLY *ate her baby. The sad part is that the Aboriginal people said that happens. I think the sad part was the baby being eaten. Brandon Fraser. He was intercourseally and physically harassed, and when he spoke out, Hollywood blacklisted him. Agreed. This was ducked. Yep. And Best, the actor who played Jar Jar Binks in Star Wars. He got so much hate from Star Wars fans that he wanted to end his life. He was super happy when he got the role too. It's really horrible for him because a lot of the hate felt personal. Asterisk, he put a lot of himself into the character just to make kids laugh. So even the I have nothing against the actor, it's just George Lucas bad writing, was extremely hurtful to him. Especially with the racial stereotype accusations. Then he came back to live action as the badass GD Master Beck with the Afrofuturist symbols woven in gold on his robes and saved Grogu from Order 66. Hayden Christensen. I don't think that any actor could make some of that clunky ass dialogue work. He actually acts well in scenes where they don't give him corny dialogue. Rebecca Black. The meme was hilarious, and I admit Friday was pretty cringy, but she didn't deserve any of the hate she got. I'm so glad she took it all like a champ and didn't stop making music. The backlash would have wrecked any 14-year-old, but the fact she didn't give up on her dreams speaks volumes about her character. She laughed it all the way to the bank. She donated the proceeds of Friday to tsunami relief in Japan. Angry German kid had a hell of a time the rest of his time in school and has only really centered himself after years of struggle. All because he wanted to make a funny video of him acting angry. The irony is these days he could earn a poop ton of money as a streamer acting like that. Imagine him playing games like the Soul series and Sekiro. That content would have good rewatchability. Malcolm McDowell, or as you may know him, Alex from A Clockwork Orange. In 1979 he did a lower budget film called Caligula, based on the life of the Roman emperor. The movie was so graphic it's difficult to find uncensored versions of the original movie, and it's considered one of the most disturbing and graphic films ever made. After the release, McDowell struggled to find acting work for years, since most producers couldn't unsee him in his portrayal in the film. Also, Creed. Janet Jackson. She took all the blame for the boob incident at the SB halftime show and it pretty much killed her career, which is so dumb considering 90% of the non-cable TV shows these days feature nudity. I mean, it's been like 25 years. That's just times changing though. Not saying she didn't get shafted, just saying where TV is now isn't truly indicative of TV then. Courtney Stodden was being groomed right in front of our eyes. They were a literal minor being coerced into marrying a rich guy in his 50s. And America was like lol what a slut. Lol big boobies. Removed. I'm awed Chrissy hasn't been more aggressively cancelled. She's a nobody who is usually saying or doing something unpleasant. Britney Spears. There was an entire period where it was super trendy to hate and obsess over her to a unhealthy level, where the press was legit stalking her to find unflattering things to report on her. Craig Ferguson's monologue changed a lot of people's minds about Britney Spears. Good on him for saying what he did and how he did it. I feel like that monologue and Conan's Please Do Not Be Cynical monologue really highlighted how powerful late night was at the time. Both are powerful, heartfelt, and really important statements. Sharks. Need I say more? Some of them even like cuddles. The ocean is salty from the tears of sharks who are lonely and just want a hug. Facts. Guhera. Pop idol from the group Kara. I was shocked when she committed suicide, but was disgusted with how the media acted, like they played no role in her death. And harassment. Bullied relentlessly as a teenager when she was in the group. In an industry where you are taught to not defend yourself on social media or off social media is the main reason why all these idols are on hiatus, leaving the group, or forced to quit the idol life. The whole idol ecosystem is predatory as hell anyway. It's almost more impressive when they get out of it *WITHOUT* severe mental issues. Dixie Chicks. They had their careers cancelled because they opposed the Iraq war, which now there is universal agreement it was a mistake. Yes, but at least not ready to make Nice as an absolute banger. That pre-chorus in the second verse, where she lays into the populace with the line a mother will teach her daughter that she ought to hate a perfect stranger, gives me chills every time. No one going the mention Topher Grace being blacklisted for calling out the bullying happening on that 70s show. So much so their entire world thought he was an ass when in reality the other cast members painted him in a negative light. Then it is all being shown Ashton, Miller, Danny, and possibly the rest of that crew are not even close to the saints they attempt to show to the world when they were writing to the judge to cut Danny slack for his rape cases. Topher is that guy that speaks up against the clique and then gets ostracized for it. We need to stop allowing this to happen. Sinead O'Connor. I'm still pissed they all clutched their pearls for her ripping the picture, but everyone was a-okay with Pesci saying he wanted to physically assault her a week or so later. Both happened on SNL. Fuck Joe Pesci, little bitch. Monica Lewinsky. She's made a good career for herself and is pretty damn savage on the socials. She was treated very unfairly back in the day and I like seeing her still out there using her fame for good. I remember a David Chappelle set about President Clinton and Monica. A line. Can you imagine being so famous that a person that sucks your dick will become famous? Sean William Scott. Dude was typecasted as Stifler in those American Pie movies, and it ruined his chances of branching out. You almost never see him in movies these days. I recommend you all watch the movie Goon. It showed he can play other roles very convincingly. You mean Country Mac? And best. Jake Lloyd, Hayden Christensen. There's more Star Wars actors who have received copious amounts of undeserved hate from internet morons, but these three in particular got treated horrifically bad, to the point they disappeared entirely from the public eye for many years. Don't forget Kelly Mary Tran, who was bullied into deleting all social media. Richard Jewell. Steve Bartman. The poor guy got death threats over a small mistake at a baseball game. As a Cubs fan, yes, it was frustrating, but he did not deserve the hate he got. Everyone took it way too far. Lion D. Chamberlain. A dingo did eat her baby. Stretching way back, but Fatty Arbuckle was charged with manslaughter and was found not guilty and even apologized to by the court, but his reputation was ruined. The Bee Gees. Downvote me all you want, but that disco thing was what everybody craved at the time. I'd say disco music in general, no worse than any other kind of pop music. Really, the backlash was more classism than anything. Jake Lloyd. Star Wars ruined him. I really doubt his current state is because of Star Wars. The mental issues he has are much more strongly associated with genetic factors and run in his father's family. Chinese restaurants when the COVID outbreak began. Also the MSG bullpoop. Brendan Fraser. This one was so weird to me. Especially since pretty much every mom I knew when George of the Jungle came out had the serious hots for him. Howard Dean. I still break out a good yah every now and then. Nickelback. They're mediocre, but I don't get why people portray them as like the worst band ever. There's definitely worse out there. I know people who make fun of Nickelback but like Buckcherry. Make it make sense. Paul Reuben Zaka Pee Wee Herman. The lady that sued McDonald's for burning her with hot coffee. I know the truth is more out there nowadays. But back when it happened, she was ridiculed mercilessly. That guy who was wrongly accused of trying to bomb the Olympics. The lady who sued McDonald's for hot coffee. Not many heard the full and true story. It was way over safe temps. Caused 3rd-degree burns on her groin. Look up the pictures. If you want to feel queasy, she had to have several skin grafts. And was elderly. She only ever wanted to settle for her medical bills. To be covered out of court. But McDonald's wouldn't. So she took them to court. Again only wanting medical bills covered. The judge awarded her the huge sum for medical bills and emotional distress. Everyone knows coffee is hot. No one expects it to cause 3rd-degree burns. It get really annoying when I hear people being rude about it, calling her dumb or money hungry. Simone Biles. People pooping on her for not being perfect in the last Olympics and having to deal with the mental health with everything she went through was ducked. Imagine pooping on such an absolute beast who can do things that no one else in the world can. Simone is amazing and 200 times better than any of the randos criticizing her online. I'll never understand why Winona Ryder got blackballed for a while after the shoplifting incident. She clearly wasn't in a good place at that time. But people lost their s*** and acted like she'd murdered someone on camera. JFC. So she stole some clothing and purses. Who friggin' cares? Exclamation mark. Then, during the trial, the prosecutor had the nerve to go after her in court and accuse her of exploiting Polly class memory. Polly was the young girl from the same town Winona grew up in, Petaluma, CA, who was kidnapped from her home in 1993. Winona had helped with the reward fund and even joined less searches for Polly, but sadly, Polly was found dead several weeks later. Winona seems like a very humble, genuinely good person, and she's extremely protective of her young Stranger Things casters. I know she's had a comeback somewhat. First with Black Swan, then obviously Stranger Things. But her career really took a hit over something so trivial, when you consider a lot worse things have been committed by celebrities. Agreed. I mean basically every 3rd celebrity has a DUI, which is much worse thing to inflict on society. Brendan Fraser. Hollywood blacklisted him for talking about being intercourseally harassed. Bastards. Paul Rubens. The only man in Hollywood who actually kept his hands to himself. Stephenie Meyer. She wrote a very mediocre supernatural romance novel that exploded in popularity, and the response was that she was somehow responsible for the death of all art ever through all time. I was friends with her cousin growing up. It got really ridiculous for her, and all she did was write a book. I'm not defending Twilight and saying it was good. I'm saying that it was, and is, very on par with your average fantasy romance nonsense. Yet because it was popular, she in particular deserves to die violently. All I'm saying is I don't know where we would be as a society without This Is the Skin of a Killer. Bella. There's too much hate in general for media aimed at teen girls. Anne Hathaway. There was a period of years where she was branded uncool and a tryhard for no discernible reason. The word moist. Good lord, I have never witnessed so many people go along with something for absolutely no reason. I love a good moist chocolate cake, which is the first thing I think of when I see the word. I think of slightly more than damp. Fine. I'll say it. Howard Dean got cancelled for being excited. Rebecca Black. All she did was make a bad song as a child. What's really messed up were the amount of grown-ass adults bullying her. Like other kids is one thing, but when it's grown-ups it's just pathetic. Monica Lewinsky. She was an intern kid and was trashed in the media in the 90s. I remember being caught up base-mouthing her and look back with shame at just how easy it was. I think Guy Fieri. Like, what did he ever do to make us all hate him? Do we hate him? He cooked many meals for unemployed folks during COVID and also had a fund just for restaurant workers who were laid off during quarantine. He also officiated some gay weddings and cooked food for Californian forest firefighters. *GESTURES in the direction of the entire McCarthy-era Hollywood blacklist. Rebecca Black. Charlton Heston took a lot of piss with his involvement with the NRA and the 2A. However, prior to that he was one of only a handful of actors who openly spoke out against racism and segregation in the 50s and 60s, was a huge advocate for the civil rights movement, and marched with MLK in 1963. Reminds me a bit of Ted Williams. He was known to be a cantankerous grump, but it was his acceptance speech into the Baseball Hall of Fame that in large part shamed them into admitting players from the Negro Leagues. Baseball gives every American boy a chance to excel, not just to be as good as someone else, but to be better than someone else. This is the nature of man and the name of the game. And I've always been a very lucky guy to have worn a baseball uniform, to have struck out or hit a Tate major home run. And I hope that someday the names of Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson in some way can be added as a symbol. The great Negro players that are not here only because they were not given a chance. And I know Cassie Stengel feels the same way. And I'm awfully glad to be with him on this big day. I also know I'll lose a dear friend if I don't stop. Anna Gunn. Skylar on Breaking Bad. I don't get it either. I watched the series a while after the finale, and if anything I felt bad for her and how much she was ducked over. So Walt was in a rut. It was *HER rut. *2. And what a way to get shaken out of it with lies and constant fear. People don't realize Walt is an anti-hero. Like Patrick Bateman in American Psycho, Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver, or the Joker, or the narrator in Fight Club. You are not actually supposed to root for these people. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.